Hello, everybody. We'll just wait for Morgan and Andrea to join us. Hopefully.
Yeah, they just
Never know.
disappeared.
Never know. I'll just make note that as Morgan comes on, my meeting was set to pre-record, so it's already recording, so you won't hear that reminder as we go. Excellent. We're all back again. Andrea, Morgan, just a reminder that we are recording. Mine was set to record, so you won't hear that audible. But first of all, thank you very much, Morgan. This is just such a smooth transition. I hope that my question is, did that link actually work? And you guys just went into the chat, hit it, and showed up in mine? Because I think that'll work in theory, but I've never done that before. So awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And we'll get started. I'll try not to keep you guys too long.
Sounds good.
I need to actually share my screen. You need a screen to share.
Yeah, I just ended up copying and pasting mine into the link there because I went and pressed stop because I wanted to save the recording and I didn't want to mess it up for whatever reason. So I played the safe road.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if we're required to have a screenshot. So I did take a screenshot of yours if you didn't get one. So I can't remember if we had to share it with Dwayne or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we had to share the file with him or I don't know.
So you guys can now see my other screen, hopefully.
Oh, cool.
I'm hoping.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. I do work stuff online, but I don't use Zoom. So I actually spent some time this afternoon making sure that how I could do a breakout room. I'm like, so thanks very much for coming. I really appreciate the feedback on my asynchronous presentation. It was kind of fun. This is my second course in the PID program, so I used the software from one of my other courses to make that presentation just out of fun. As you guys all know, I'm a nurse. I think being a nurse is amazing, but I also think for people outside of nursing, it can be kind of boring, really, for lack of better. So I wanted to do something different with my presentation today. And I want to talk about vacation because we're going to get to travel again pretty soon. Not that I know when I'm actually going to do that, but hopefully soon. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. And I wanted to first of all, just talk a little bit about my asynchronous. There were some questions. I was hoping Meg was going to join us because she had a really good question that I answered on the online forum about the use of masks. So if you guys have questions about masks, please do ask. And the other question that I got was about travel restrictions, which are all getting lifted, or many of, but my warning about that is actually be in contact with the country that you might be traveling to see what their travel restrictions are, because it's going to be re-entering Canada that Canada is going to talk about. But if you're going to Mexico or going to Europe or something like that, you're going to want to know what you need to get through their borders. And then the other thing that I got questioned about was the vaccine passport, which I included in the asynchronous. And a couple of photos that I used were of the BC passport, either the paper or the electronic. And then we had a really great announcement that day that I put out the asynchronous that we're now going to be required to have the federal vaccine passport for any travel within Canada. And what I found in the last couple of days, so I actually tried to go to I went to the Government of Canada website today, trying to see if I could get my federal passport, and they're not going to be available for BC residents until October the 30th. And then there will be a 30-day sort of layover period where you're going to be able to use your provincial, I think all of us are from BC, so our BC passport to be able to travel. But after the end of November, you're going to be required to have the federal one. So it doesn't look like it's a big laborious task to be able to get it. It's just going to be a case of logging in, providing your basic information, and then that should link up with what the provincial government is inputting around our vaccines and stuff like that. So ultimately, it's going to look very similar to the BC one. It's going to have that USB kind of code that they're going to be able to scan and such like that. And then I thought, well, hey, why aren't we using the federal one provincially? And the provincial government said something like 3.6 million people have already downloaded their provincial one, and they don't want to change it because it's working. And I thought, great, so BC, we're going to have two passports to deal with. So that's what's sort of coming down for us as passport stuff. So are there any questions about that? Can I help anybody with that kind of stuff? Or masks or hand washing? Number one thing for you to do as individuals to stay healthy is wash your hands. Don't touch your face. As I said, you know, keep your social circle kind of small right now. I find it a little bit shocking that we're getting an average of 500 to 600 COVID cases a day, and yet they're saying that our numbers are trending downward. I only see the numbers, and they're going up, and yet as of the 25th, we have opened up full seating capacity in most every entertainment avenue. So just be aware.
I got a question for you, Alan.
Sure.
Just regarding like hand sanitizer, probably a dumb question, but like some of it is like liquidy and smells like, you know, vinegary and like really disgusting smelling. And then there's other kinds that are like, you know, more sudsy and they're like, you know, easier to use, or they're nicer. Like, what is the difference? Does one work better than the other? Do you even know?
I don't think there is a difference. It's actually the base product that's in it. They have to be commercially available. They have to have a certain degree of alcohol content to be able to be distributed. Now, not to say you couldn't make it at home, or we have a local distillery here in Courtenay who their regular product stopped flying off the shelves. So they actually turned around and used some of the byproducts of their gin to make commercial grade hand sanitizer. And they actually donated a massive amount of this stuff to the health authority when it was in such demand. But it actually had to go through a federal regulatory body to be tested to make sure it came up with whatever alcohol content. I will say theirs reminds me of sort of a red wine kind of sort of smelly taste, and it's really thin. It's like water. I prefer actually the sort of the thick one. I find I get it less on me, weird, because it does dry. But I prefer the thick one, but it's just the basis that they're put in. But the actual contents are all going to be really, really similar.
Well, that answers my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to do my best to put you guys into two separate groups for probably 2 minutes. And I have a couple questions because we're going to talk about travel. My question, and I asked this in the asynchronous, is where do you like to travel? And what are you looking for in a travel destination? Okay, so a couple of questions for you to think about as I send you out, maybe into possibly. I need the screen back. Stop sharing. Breakout rooms, 2 breakout rooms. Welcome back. It's very weird to be on the other end of a breakout room. I haven't been online with students in a while, so you know, like twiddling my thumbs. What are you guys up to? What did you come up with? Do we all like to go to the same places?
Oh, actually very different. The only
How
thing I
so?
think we had in common was maybe we want to go to a place that has good beer, but that's
Oh, very fitting.
yeah.
Where else? Where did you want to? Where do you want to travel to? If you had to go one place right now, where would it be?
Mexico, I suppose, out of ease and warmth.
Warmth came up lots. We're going to see it in the next slide here, the reasons for travel. Ease of use, I thought I would see that more in the question. So, Janet, what about you if you were going to go somewhere?
Paris, France.
Oh, how come?
Art and
Nice.
cheese. I love cheese. I'm very food motivated.
That's
And-
food is a
and
big
you're in one.
motivator for sure. And obviously with your education and such like that, I'm not surprised you want to go somewhere where there's art. So awesome. Sonia?
We had a trip planned for before COVID that was canceled, but our next big trip was to be snowboarding in Japan.
That is fantastic. I remember the
Oh,
Japan,
man.
I remember the snowboarding, and I actually kind of, because I think Morgan, when I get to him, is probably going to say he would like to be mountain biking somewhere. And I kind of thought he had probably thrown the snowboarding in there. So
Yeah.
that's very cool.
Yeah, that
Awesome.
was-
Snowboarding in Japan.
That was the big one before we decided to have a baby, but baby came first, so that one's on hold for a while.
Andrew, what about you?
I was actually the mountain biking destination
Really?
one. Yeah. So we had a trip planned to Utah, Moab, that got kind of postponed for, a while. So we're hoping to maybe go back, but honestly, hasn't been too bad because BC is so beautiful to mountain bike. So I'm like, you're stuck in BC. I'm like, well, that's pretty awesome.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Morgan, what about you?
Oh, I love going places warm, so I'd probably go down to somewhere in the Caribbean. Lots of sun, love the warmth. Probably like Cuba or Jamaica, maybe in Mexico too. Somewhere I could dive in a shorty wetsuit. That would be my goal.
That's good.
Yeah, love to
Awesome.
go
And
diving,
Morgan,
but
you guys are
only if
going to
I
like
could
the
be
upcoming slides, because I'm very much the same. I'm a tropical destination kind of guy. I dive, so Mexico, the Dominican, Jamaica. Interesting as I change slides here, that I asked you guys how we travel. Obviously, the majority of us, we live in areas where we need planes. Only one person talked about a train, so I'd be interested to hear about travel by train because I've never done it. Boats, many of us live on the coast, so these were all, I wasn't really surprised about this at all. But then when I sort of, because I didn't look at the individual responses, I looked at sort of the overarching kind of stuff. So mountain biking came up, warm weather was there, tons. No surprise to me that food and drinks. You're going to notice when I enter activities, it says bike, ski, snowboard, drinks. Yes, I made that an activity because I do think that is an activity all on its own. For many of the reasons that Morgan talked about, just that social culture and getting to know people, and then the places we want to go. Not surprising to the States, Mexico. I'd love to hear more about Iceland. I've never been. I hear that it is amazing and tons of tourism, and not shockingly, somewhere hot, which I think given our summer, how hot it was here in BC, I'm surprised that we're still seeking more heat. So I want to introduce you guys to where I live, to many of the things that we have highlighted, whether it be skiing, snowboarding, outdoor adventures on your bike, scuba diving, fishing, things like that. I think you can do any and all of those items in one day here in the beautiful Comox Valley. I say that meaning that I would love everybody to come visit, but people can stop moving here. I'm just kidding. But yeah, fantastic. I'm really fortunate to live here and work on the traditional unceded territories of the Comox First Nation. So let me please introduce you to the Comox Valley. This video is a couple minutes long. I'm really hoping that the audio will come through. If it's not, give me a wave and I'll see what we can do to overcome that. Enjoy.
There's nowhere like the Comox Valley. Halfway up the east coast of Vancouver Island, with nearly 2,000 hours of sunshine a year, lush countryside that rolls down from 10,000-foot-high alpine meadows to an azure sea. 360 degrees of breathtaking scenery. The Comox Valley was traditionally called the Land of Plenty, and there are plenty of ways to get here. Comox Valley International Airport is 30 minutes from Vancouver and just over an hour from Calgary and Edmonton and its connecting flights. Or take a BC ferry for one of the world's great journeys from the mainland. The Island Highway, too, makes getting here quick and easy. You can do it all here. Hike and bike alpine trails. You can sail, fish, kayak in sheltered waters, golf all year round, climb, dive, build sandcastles, sunbathe, and swim at the beach they call Little Hawaii. And because it's only a few minutes drive from the ski slopes to the ocean, you can do some of it in one day. You'll find wonderful food and wine in the Comox Valley. From gourmet dinners to stunning snacks, the chefs here can call on a banquet of local ingredients, and the farm is often only a few miles away from the food on your fork. There are award-winning cheesemakers, bakers, brewers, winemakers, oyster growers, and vegetable growers here. And they're only too happy to chat about their passions at one of the food festivals or the Comox Valley's year-round farmers market. Only a few minutes from all points in the Comox Valley is Mount Washington Alpine Resort, rated #2 for Best Powder by Ski Canada magazine. Because of the superb runs and Nordic skiing trails, 13 National Olympic Committee's nations completed their pre-2010 training here. Snowshoeing, boarding, tubing, and wonderful accommodation all make the resort an unmissable winter mecca. There's an unforgettable cultural experience waiting for you in the valley. Connect with a world of folklore at dramatic performances by the Comox First Nations dancers. Visit the Nim Nim Interpretive Center to learn about their unique traditions and art. And at the iHouse Gallery, browse among jewelry, wood carvings, textiles, and prints produced by First Nations artists. Come visit and see how the traditions of the past, folklore, and contemporary culture are all woven together. The Comox Valley, where you can do it all.
So what do you think? Janet, I didn't know about your fondness for cheese, so I did notice your face when they talked about cheese. We do have a couple pretty
I
good
heard cheese.
places here. We do have some amazing wineries, some distilleries and such like that. So I think we could fit many of our food challenges into being here in the Valley. Have any of you ever been here to the Comox Valley?
Yeah, lots of times, yeah.
Nodding. I see Morgan driving through probably. What do you remember about your time here?
Oh man, there's some great hiking in Strathcona Park. I do a lot of hike camping, and my girlfriend and I, we did this hike, Mount Albert Edward actually. You access it through going up to Mount Washington. It was a 3 days, 2 nights, and just fantastic scenery, beautiful trails. Everybody was so nice. Good view of the mountain too. Great, fantastic, yeah. Loved it.
Andrea, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only been there once, and it was a mother-daughter trip, and I do remember it was Victoria Day long weekend. And we started Victoria and kind of made a trip, and I just remember it being really busy. Maybe I'm a small town person, but I was like, there's so much traffic. But I remember a really peaceful kayak ride, just like that picture, and it kind of, all the traffic driving, travel stress just kind of went away.
I would love to say that the travel or the traffic has gotten better. I think it's gotten worse, but I think it's gotten worse for all of us everywhere. So, Sonia,
Yeah.
you have your hand up?
Yep, I actually did the same hike Morgan was talking about a few years back. We did it just as a one-night trip though, to the top and back, and I've done quite a few of the Momar adventure races.
Wow.
And we actually did snow to surf one year as well. So
Fantastic.
to experience the skiing in the morning and the kayaking, canoeing in the afternoon.
Yeah, you literally can do all of those things in one day if you want to. Really, we have whether it be fishing first thing in the morning or going up the hill, and then mountain biking or golfing, or we're sort of scattered over not a very big area. We don't have a really high density area, but we have a lot of things within reach. So it's really, really accessible here.
What's your demographic like, Alan? Is it like seniors, young families? What would you say?
We're unique here, and I chose the Comox Valley for a reason. I live in Courtenay, which is sort of the center of the valley, the lowest point. And then on our ocean side, we have Comox, which tends to be an older demographic. I would say many more seniors there. Courtenay is definitely a mix of sort of everybody throughout. And then if I had to sort of stereotype Cumberland, which is where the mountain biking trails are for Andrea, it's definitely a younger population. It is the original. Obviously, we have the Comox Marina, which we'll see in some photos, but Cumberland was actually a mining town. So it has one of the longest established communities in BC. And yet it sort of went through a renaissance, if you will, in the last 10 or 15 years. Mostly around affordable housing or affordable property in our situation, and has really got this small town spirit where tons and tons of new families are moving. And it used to have that old mining kind of grunginess. It has one flashing stoplight, I will say. Otherwise, it has no traffic lights, and a community of probably around, I would say, 5 to maybe 8,000 people. But growing, probably the fastest growing place. I would say maybe outside of Victoria for a small demographic, maybe the biggest. They just have this huge housing explosion because it, to some degree, is affordable as compared to everywhere else. So, and it's also extremely accessible to a ton of different stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Thank you for sharing that stuff. As you can see in almost every photo of the Comox Valley is the glacier. It's kind of what we're known for, is that hiking and outdoor environment. And again, we have the 3 separate communities that all have something very distinctly different to them. The top left photo you see is the Comox Marina. So was the hub. Obviously, it's where shipping and many things came in and went. Now a really nice marina. I would say we don't have a whole lot of amenities there, but it's in really, really close proximity to Comox. So the town of Comox has all of your restaurants and such like that. The next one over, I'm glad I'm not in this photo on the top right, but one of our favorite pastimes here is in the summer when it gets hot enough, I will say, is to tube down the Puntledge River. It's about, we start at the Comox Fish Hatchery, and it's about, depending on tide, it can be anywhere up to 2 hours of sitting pretty lazily in your tube, usually with some cold pops hanging in a bag out the side, and just chilling and relaxing with friends. And I think one trip is fantastic, but if you can get 2 back to back, you have an even better time. So if you get the opportunity to make some time to get out there and do that. The bottom right is the other half of that marina picture. So this is actually a really popular wharf for unobstructed views of the glacier and boats and stuff like that. This is in Comox Harbor. And then, of course, I have never, it seems strange when I say it out loud, but I've actually never scuba dived in cold water. So I really like to go where I can have, you know, just a really tiny wetsuit on and go hot. But we have some of the best diving in all of the world here. So when I look at pictures like that, I think I need to go and do that, and I need to encourage other people to come and do it. I have friends who only dive here, and they're flabbergasted that I don't. So I do actually.
The dry suit course is, I think, only a day or 2 long. So it'd be pretty good addition.
It's not very long. It's the 2, we have a couple different dive shops here, and I actually looked at doing this when I hadn't been in the water for a long time. And they actually dive out of Qualicum Beach. They do a walk-in in your drive suit. So cool. Yeah, it's very cool. Just there's so much available here to do, including for Andrea, who's been here and didn't like the traffic, but she wants to go up the mountain and go mountain biking. So not only do you have Cumberland, which is, I think, becoming, if not, but almost on the cusp of being world renowned for its mountain biking. And then a couple of summers ago, Mount Washington actually brought back its chairlift mountain biking. So it had been gone for about 10 or 12 years. So it's been back, I think, 2 or 3 summers now. For those of us, and I do a little bit of mountain biking, not so much anymore, but for those of us that want a little bit more of stated pace, we obviously have tons of parks around the river and walkways where you can ride bikes and multi-use trails. Andrea, you need to come ride here.
It's on the list this spring, hopefully.
There's lots, and you don't have to go south to do that.
It's worth it.
No, stay at home.
Lots of the trails there, and they're totally worth it.
Yeah, absolutely worth it, and a ton of different variety.
Mhm.
And then to feed all of our sort of inner funness, we have tons of wineries, some distilleries. Most of our wineries, as I think most in the province do, have outdoor events. So this was a picture from Coastal Black, who has their big pumpkin fest right now. So tons of opportunities to get outside and take pictures and do things with multi-generational kind of events. And then just the access to, whether it be that top right photo being out in the ocean and going fishing or kayaking, or just going sightseeing along the coast. Top left, Crown Isle Golf Course, we have 3 or 4 really highly rated golf courses that are all accessible, whether they be from Campbell River, which is just north of us, to Nanaimo, and everywhere in between. And then, of course, amazing Mount Washington and all of the opportunities up there. Not just Mount Washington in the winter, but also in the summer, whether that be sightseeing or hiking, or just doing the scenic chairlift. You can just get on it and ride it up, and then you can stay on it and come back down. Like, that seems pretty good way for me to see the mountain. So some of the things that I got out of your requests for travel destinations was mountain biking trails, warm weather. I'm sorry, I can only offer that in certain summers. This past summer was definitely hot here. Amazing food and drink we have for sure. Activities, whether they be biking, skiing, snowboarding, scuba, golf, fishing. And as many of you have said, we have amazing sightseeing and adventure opportunities. So I encourage you all to come and visit, maybe move to the Comox Valley and enjoy some of the things that I get to call home. Thank you. Thanks for being here. I open the floor to you guys for your feedback. Are there any questions or comments?
I thought that was great. I've never been that far north, only to as far as like Port Alberni. I've gone there lots, but I've not ventured up that way at all. So it'd be
Come north, it's an easier drive than
yeah,
going to Port Alberni for sure.
yeah,
Or if you're going to go to Port Alberni, keep going and go all the way to Tofino.
yeah. That's great there too. That's beautiful.
Yep.
How far of a drive is it from Nanaimo?
An hour.
Oh yeah. My
Super
brother.
accessible. Yep, very, very accessible to get here.
Hmm.
When I
Maybe
went
I'll come
looking for
visit.
that video, I was trying to figure out how I could make this infographic around how easy it is to get here, whether it's by float plane out of the Vancouver Harbor. You can come over in a sailboat if you want from anywhere. You can drive up from Nanaimo. We have an international airport, the Comox Airport. You can fly pretty much many connections through Edmonton or Vancouver, but globally from what I think is our little airport. Yeah, we have the outside of Vancouver International, we have the largest runway in the province. So that's the reason that the Olympic athletes were coming here, is because they could land their massive big jets and teams to come. Yeah, really, really excited to get here.
Any trains, Alan?
We have a train. We have railway tracks, but we no longer. We used to have I think it was ENN Railway that ran from Victoria all the way to Comox Valley. That was the end of the line, was the Comox Valley, and it's been gone for about 20 years maybe now. And there's always this conversation around, because on the island we're very much Victoria centric, and so everybody wants to work in Victoria because there's tons of opportunities, but how do you get people there? Well, we could have you there in a couple of hours on a train should we get service, but we don't have it yet. But we do have the tracks for it.
Oh, that's good to know.
It's good.
You've got a pretty good knowledge of the Comox Valley. It's awesome. You must have lived there for a while then.
I came here, I was about 6, give or take. And I've come and gone, and I think I'm really just gaining a better appreciation for what I really have. I've never been a big city kind of guy. I would love the entertainment value, the nightlife, the culture that Victoria or preferably Vancouver would offer. But yeah, I don't like traffic. I detest traffic, really. We have too much traffic already. And I don't live rurally. I live 5 minutes from downtown Courtenay, and I'm 3 minutes away from the river. My dogs and my bike, and we can be gone in the bush onto, the lower half of some of the Forbidden Plateau trails, or out to Comox Lake in less than 5 minutes. So to give that up would be really hard. But yeah, I didn't really understand why people came here for a really long time. And then I sort of had to take a step back and say, yeah, we really do have all of these things. And I'm noticing that other people are noticing this now.
I liked how you blended your asynchronous session and got our feedback, and then with your synchronous. It was really cool.
That was something I've never done. I've used Google Docs before, but never a Google form. And I have to say it was really, really easy. As was sort of, getting your feedback and getting you to sign up for this. I will use that as many times as I can. Because when you guys went through and gave me feedback, I actually just got an email that says I had a response. And I waited until I had a couple, and I logged in, and it told me how to sort it. Did I want it individualized? Did I want it all at once? It was very cool. This is my second PID course. My students know so much more about education or teaching because they use all of this kind of stuff than I do. So it's enlightening to sort of catch up to them.